nice nap. All right, well. So name and form is just conditional mind, yeah? So this form, this has been called me, and that's the name, and then I give name and form to everything else, yeah? So it's all talking about the conceptuality of the conditional mind, how it conceives things, but what is conceiving can never be conceived, yeah? It can never be captured by a concept. That's the dilemma. Because we want to know it as an object or as a thing or as us, which is a seemingly a thing. And it can't be captured that way. So someone just told me about a guy who wrote a book, I don't know, a Buddhist monk, I don't know, I think it was The Unborn or something, and he meditated for 20 years in caves and everything, and he said it was worth fucking nothing, really. He says it's just the natural awareness you had, that was available when you were a kid in a way. It's just that relaxed awareness of just being here, being on. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything else is giving it name and form. So, I don't know, I was with a lot of people today, and recovery is a great opportunity, because you get to see an obvious foreign installment that a lot of people are representing, alcoholism. And it's such an incredible gift, because you see that when I'm at all these meetings over all these years, I never really identify with who you are, but with what's taken you over. And to see that it's not a personal thing, it's not organic, these are not your eyes, this is like a pair of glasses. And to see, when you entertain that it's not you, then you can entertain being free of it. But I don't see how you can entertain being free of it until you see it's not you. Everything else is trying to entertain being free as it, which has its limitations. You may have a freedom, but in recovery it says you'll know a new freedom and a new happiness. There's a lot of freedoms we call the old freedoms, which is based on me becoming free. I'm going to be free as this. Those are always a failure in a sense. The new freedom is freedom from this, not freedom as it. And that's, I find, the pursuit of mind is to be free as that. It's trying to get out of self, which is impossible. Self can't get out of self. Yet it attempts to become free as the thing it wants to get out of. So it really has a drive to have the experience of its absence, but it wants to be there to get it. Just like when people come to these talks, not saying who or what, it's a typical situation you run into that people believe they haven't gotten it yet, and they're holding on to being there when they get it. But the whole point is it's not to be had, it can't be gotten. It's not the system hasn't found a way to find it. The system forbids itself from ever finding it, just because it's a system, It's sort of like when I saw that, I had this hallucination, I don't know what it was, when I was in the hospital, when I got hit by the car, and I used to see my old guru quite a lot. I saw DVDs that he'd never made yet, walking around. I saw tons of them, and they'd never been released, I don't believe. And this one time, at this point, I had been going into this realm or whatever, a mental state, whatever you want to call it, a number of times, and I had certain qualities I knew I could do. I could fly, and I could fly through people. I could fly through things. I wouldn't hit anything. And so I flew down to Miami, where he was having a big, in the dream world, he was having a presentation to all his followers who had kids. And he was sitting on this little raised area with his kids. So I flew into the room, and I started flying around, and it created a very big commotion because people were scared shit, and I was yelling, "Don't worry!" And I could fly through them, and everyone's going to, and I landed on the little die where he was. And I wanted to know, That was it, really. And it had a lot. It was drenched in sincerity. I want to know the truth. I want to get it. It was that I felt very strongly. It's very, very sincere that I really wanted to know. And he looked at me with a little smile on his face, and he didn't say anything. But I got that the way I was, which is what I'm not, I couldn't embrace it, no matter how many times I tried. I just didn't have the ability to embrace what's already so. So it was really the giving up of the embracer is how it happens, in a sense. It doesn't happen, it just becomes obvious. It's not finding another way of how to embrace it, but to give up the embracer. I just didn't have there was no way I could fit myself around it. I didn't have the ability to get in that position. I'd have to become something, I'd have to be something real to get in the position to know myself. And it really struck me, and it bummed me out totally. He looked at it, it was like a telepathic message, and I just was totally bummed out because I couldn't be anything other than what I seemed to be that time. I couldn't get out of it, I knew it. Yet I couldn't not seem to be it in a way. There was an identification with what I knew I couldn't get out of. And it would really bum me out totally in the dream. And so I flew away, and he said, we're going to give you a ticket to come back here, and you can stay with us. And so I woke up in the hospital bed, and I had all the nurses looking in the bed for the ticket, and there was no ticket there. And I thought someone must have ripped off the ticket. I was fucking paranoid. So then I flew back there again, and I went around again, and this time they gave me money. And they said, here's money. And I woke up in the hospital, and where's the money? And they stole the money, the nurses. I'm buzzing. The nurses stole my money. This is, they had no idea. The third time I went down there, it was really incredible. I was hovering like in the air, and I was in one part was the world of the nurse in the hospital, and these people were pulling me down, and it looked like I had a choice. And I went up for the nurse, popped out, and then I never went back again. I never had another one of those dreams. I never went in that realm. It was sort of like, boom, and there I was in the hospital, But what I took back from that thing was that inability, that no matter how sincere and noble and loving of that, the way you're approaching it is the problem. Not you haven't found the right way, it's just it can't be approached. It's really a complete exhaustion of all that. Either that or the mind loses interest and attention, which is sort of like a complete exhaustion in all that. All that activity, all that seeking. Be it subtle seeking or very, very obvious, quote-unquote, gross seeking. It's all this drive, this drive to become what we already are, to be there when what we are is revealed. To be there as something other than what we are so that we can have an experience of it, so that we can be special, that we can be unique. When it's not, has nothing to do with uniqueness or specialness. It's really dog shit awareness type stuff. It's just basically being on all the time. And yet, the emphasis is on the onness, not the idea of who, the name and the form that I've given the onness, calling it me. All that intention and interest just shifts from the name and form and goes back to the nameless and the formless. And then, by the resting in that, you know the problem. The problem was the identification with name and form. Name and form is not going to be able to name and give form to the nameless and the formless. It has to be, there's no point where it can leave that system and then arrive in this space. It's just seeing you were never in the system. You were never that which the mind was taking itself to be. You were never that. Therefore, you never will be that. And therefore, all the story of all your relevance of keeping yourself away from the truth, and if I only would have meditated longer, if I didn't walk out on that yoga class, everything would have been incredible. Or if I was in Bombay and I went to the wrong teacher, I could have seen Mr. Gadada instead of, some other guy. I blew my whole opportunity. All this is you're being written into the story over and over and over again. Why go through any more of it? Just see the principle of it. The same principle in every seeming act of seeking is the same principle. It's the same one. It's just repeating the same movement. The selfing is agitation. mind resting in selfing is agitated. It's seeking relief from what it's taking itself to be. And it can't get that relief because it keeps taking itself to be that. Yeah? So it's all I can do is try to get relief and freedom as a self, which is just promotes more agitation. Because it's resting on agitation. How can it find rest? So let's say every time you've been looking for rest, everywhere you land doesn't seem, it's like going to a party, you heard it was great, but when you get there it sucks. Yeah? It's when you arrive, it sucks. Because you're the agitation that's looking for rest. What happens when agitation meets rest? It's not resting. It's agitated that it's going to lose the rest. That the rest isn't good enough. That this isn't going to last. It's going to, it meets every opportunity of rest with agitation. You don't see it just because you think you're not moving. This whole thing is moving. The whole thing is looking out all the time. It's kind of trying to get something. It's got an imperative. That desire to become can never become fulfilled. It cannot complete the mission. It can only desire to become a self, and it can appear to be a self, but it can never be a self. It's impossible. It can't complete, it can't reach climax. So it's constantly frustrated. Instead of letting that implode and blowing out of the system, what it does is it seeks out through the system, by the system, as the system, looking for relief that never is going to happen because it's the agitation. Yeah, it's the source of it all. It can go like in AA, I'd say, you can drop an alcoholic into heaven, it'll be hell in a day. It has nothing to do with heaven or hell. It's who arrives there makes it heaven or hell. There's no place called heaven and hell. I've seen people go on incredible resorts and incredible idyllic place, and all they do is fuck up and argue about what's not happening all day. So the heaven doesn't override the mobile hell that we take ourselves to be. It's wherever you show up stuck sooner or later. Yeah, this is like seeing that. All you need is one view. Everything is just a degree or a geometrical progression or a self-replication. You don't need a vast amount of knowledge. Just one principle. One little event has the principle that they all carry. Yeah? Seeking will never be satisfied by seeking. There is no seeker. There's just seeking. Part of the seeking is when it doesn't seem like there's seeking going on, you're seeking to be the seeker. Yeah? There's always the mind's desire to become, and it can't become fulfilled. So it's unfulfilled. Its whole basis is unfulfilled. That's not a restful place. And of course, it starts looking for relief. But where does it look for relief? In things. It gives more name and more form to everything. When it's basically just to recognize the formlessness and the namelessness of everything that's been given name and form. Yeah? You don't have to see everything. That's just one little opportunity. See it. I'm not that. Yeah. The mind can come out of that mental yogic posture. It can come out of that asana with that sitting pose, that seeking pose. It can come out of that. Yeah? And then you know the problem by the solution in a sense. And the solution is there is no problem. That's how you know it, though. But by hearing there is no problem, in the problem, it doesn't fucking work, does it? The problem seems as real can be. But the solution is there is no problem. I mean, how many problems, in a sense, have you had? And each one of them was connected to a you, yeah? Maybe the you's the bigger problem. Just like in my relationships, I'd have 15 relationships with lovely women. None of them seemed to work. And when I looked at them, what was the one constant in all those relationships? Me. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should look there. So if you have 50 problems, but there's only one you having them, maybe that's the bigger problem. Being the haver of the problems, yeah? Maybe. You never know. Good way to look. We've tried everything else to try to manage and control this. Yeah? Why not see? Who's desiring to manage and control? If it's not you, you'll lose interest in it. Yeah? Like that need to be liberated will be dropped. It's such a fucking relief. What needs to be liberated? You and me? Exactly. But the I, no. No. It's liberated right now. How could it not be? It's never been bound. How could it fall for the drive to be liberated if it's never been bound? Why would it see any value in all this pantomime to get liberated if it's never been bound? It would see right through it like that. Yeah? You can remember I read this article once in Tricycle. It's like a Buddhist magazine. Yeah, pretty nice, slick thing they make. And there was like a little dark, different color page, and it was just this one-page article about some famous meditation teacher who'd been teaching meditation for 30 years, and all these students who are long-time students have been coming to him and getting in touch with him saying, you know, after all these 25 years, nothing radically has changed. How is it going to be different for you? You know what I mean? All right, thank you. That was you just saved me a whole lot of freaking time. I'm not special. It's not going to work. You know, some great old master, 20 years of meditating, realizes fucking it's pointless. Hey, all right, I'll go with that. No, I'll be different. Maybe it was 21 years he didn't do it. It's like that guy when we were in Massachusetts. He was doing that practice, and he had to keep his arms up for 17 minutes, yeah? And all this, and he thought nothing really happened. And so he says, what should I do? I said, you should have stayed 18 minutes. That's the mind, constantly. Oh, 21, I should have 21 minutes. He'll go on and on and on and on and on. One movement is just like the 800 movement. It's the same principle. Yes? Agitation is, the selfing is trying to become what it can never be. So therefore, the mind's always pursuing an impossibility. So it's either trying to not be what it thinks it is, or it's trying to be something else. Yes? So it's going this way or this, like a slinky. It's going this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. But there's no point where the slinky stops and there's rest. It's always a movement, creates the other movement, creates the other movement. Yes? Movement, constantly. Yes? This is what it's like. The seeking produces the seeker produces seeking. On and 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 on. Why not now? Stop, see it. One little example, one free sample can open up the mind. The mind can open up, and its aperture has no calibration. It can just keep opening. Yes? There's no stopping it. How it works with me, I got off the little carousel, and it was rest now. Yeah? Not an hour from now, not 5 minutes from now. Now is rest. And then when it started sensing that rest, its behavior changed here quite a lot. Because the whole engine of seeking was sort of unplugged. Yeah? It's very weird for a while. It was like being, in the town square with your pants down, but if you stop trying to reach them up, you got quite used to it. Hey, and I used to love, people would call me and say, oh, you know what teacher was here this weekend? I go, oh, I love missing teachers now. Oh, you missed, no, I know I missed them, yes. I missed her too. I've missed a whole lot of them now. It hasn't really changed much, to tell you the truth. Because now I'm looking for them, I may be missing the biggest teacher in a sense, yeah. My own unspoken yes in there, that's just screaming for fucking, put the rock down. Drop it. Put the rock down, that's right. Put the rug down. And if it's not about you, you'll just walk away and you will not look back. It's over. Yes? You're convinced. There's a belief with certainty. It's a done deal. Yeah. You're out of the surrendering game. You're surrendered. Yeah. What was being chased as experiences now are states. Yeah. The gateless gate becomes obvious. The open secret becomes obvious. I know, it's incredible. All right, let's go. Oh, I thought he was snoring. I wanted to get some snores in there. Did I miss anything? No. Remember that guy in Massachusetts too? Some guy was so worried he couldn't come to the thing, but he drove in before to tell everyone he couldn't come. And so he was trying to get to the lady who owned the house, but I met him outside, and he says, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really want to come, I can't go." I said, "You're not missing anything. Go ahead, hit the road." Shit. Mind likes me to be relevant. It does. It wants to be special. Big drive. It really is. It's a big drive. It really, it would live as if it's not something for the hope that it could be something. Yeah? It really would. It would live in this pretense that it's not something, just to go through the story of becoming something. Yeah? Instead of just acknowledging what's so, which has nothing to do with you. Yeah? It appears way, way, way down the time track, the sense of being you. It has no influence or effect on what's so. Yeah. It likes to. It'd love to, but I don't see it to be the case. I think in a way, without attempting to condition myself into a spiritual condition, I'm probably more so than ever, with absolutely no interest in being one. How does that work? When you totally lose interest in it, it seems to be so. When you have interest in it, it doesn't seem to be so. Because it's not about it being so, it's about being so to you. That's the interest. That's the self-seeking. You want it to be so to you. You just don't want it to be so. But to you, you want it to be so. So for that to be the case, it has to seem to be absent. And then you have to seem to do something and go somewhere and get something to finally have it dawn on, not on it in and of itself, but on you. Yes? So now I'm a knower of God. I'm a lover of God. I'm a devotee of God. When Ramana Maharshi says to know God is to be God. Yeah? To know God is to be God. It's a total different knowledge, isn't it? To finally have a knowledge of something is that you are that. Yeah? No middleman or woman, no institutions, nothing. No, they're fine to go and hang out and express, but not as a vehicle to get to where you already are. Because that's the exact opposite of what they're producing. I mean, if some spiritual religions and stuff were like a factory, they would have been closed a long time ago. If they were supposed to produce a product called awakening, they'd be fucking shut down. their stocks would be worthless. No one, you know what I mean? You were already rich, like they always say, the beggar at the gates of the city who's begging every day for 20 years, and one guy says, hey, why don't you look in your own pocket? And the guy is so sure that of what he is, of his name and form, I'm a beggar and this and that, he doesn't even put his hand in there. And the guy goes, well, and walks away. Then later on, when he's going to his little hovel, he finally gets in by himself, and he puts his hand in, and there's a big diamond. He's been rich the whole time. Yeah. He's been rich the whole time. But he thought he knew better. Yeah? And that precluded him in finding out because he knew. Yeah? Name and form is like knowing. And the whole state is I don't know. Because then something's revealed to you. Yeah? But when you know something, you've already given it name and form. Yeah? It's already in the system in a sense. It's already in the system, and it's the movement of the system that causes us to be blind. It's the movement of selfing and our interest and attention being wedded to that idea of being a self is the activity of being blind. While you are the seer of all seeing, you are not the seer of it, you're the seeing. Yeah? But it produces a blindness, and yet we spend all our days looking. Yeah? Like St. Francis says, what's looking is what you are looking for. Well, we spend a lot of time looking for it, yeah, because we can't recognize what's looking, because it's the you, it's underneath the idea of being the you that's looking for, yeah. Right now, this is the example of conscious contact. Not how I think I feel, not how I think the day went, not my plans, not my historical story, but the raw data of seeing is available right now. What I'm saying here, we're talking around it, and yet it's available right now. Yeah? And until you disappear as this, I would say it's going to appear, quote unquote, here, right now. Yeah? I don't think there could be a now without it. Yeah? There wouldn't be a here without it. I think it's impossible to miss it. How can you miss it? It's like the fish finally waking up that it's been wet all along. You know what I mean? It's the attention instead of on all the clam shells and all the other fish jockeying for position. It just senses the incredible hugeness of its medium. And in that it realizes it's not what's appearing in the medium. I am that medium. I am that space. I am not what's appearing in it. Yeah? Just because the eye is seeing this from there, and I believe this eye is seeing that from here, doesn't mean that's so. Yeah, because wherever seeing going on in our experience as a person, it's always eye that's seeing. The eye is what's seeing. Every person, when they say what they're doing, I'm seeing you. Millions and millions of people. Where is that eye located? Is it in all those little people? Or where all those people appear, that's the eye. Wherever any of them or all of them appear, that's the eye. The eye precedes, precedes the seeing of the you. The eye is always so. And then this activity is I seeing you. And I don't care how many yous you bring in here, it would be the same experience. I'm seeing you. Yeah, you. 50, 100, 8 million be you. Yet, it's incredible, when they're having the same experience, now where Deb's sitting, I'm the you, but what I do is, when I sense the I, at the conscious contact, I wed it with the idea of being you, this you, and I call it me. A very unholy trinity. The I, but the you's doing it, and what you is doing it? Me. And in all this world of yous, there's only one me. One me. Yet 8 billion people could be here, and they'd all vote that I'm a you. They'd say, we see you, Paul. I know you do, but that's me. You don't see it? You can't get through the me to the I. Yeah? You can recognize the me as a you, and then the I becomes obvious. Yeah? You can't get to the you can't get to the I through the me. Yeah? But if you realize this me is just a you, then the I becomes obvious. Ah, yeah. Ah, I'm that I. I'm the I that's seeing. I'm not this me that thinks it's seeing, that claims the seeing, and becomes a seer, which is a form of looking, yeah? But I am the seeing. Of what? What I'm not. Yeah? All day, that's all that's happening. Mind is seeing what it's not. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. How many, it can take one or maybe a lot of repetition, but one point when you're looking into space, it'll be like a mirror to your original face. You'll see the reflection. You'll come out of the delusion of thinking your name and form in a sense. The mind will come out of that yogic posture. And then you'll find out what happens after that. Yeah? You'll play out here. You'll live. You won't need to get into the moment because you'll realize you can't be out of the moment. You won't be spending all day trying to get out of self because you realize you can't be in it. The whole bizarro take is shifted. You just see things, like my friend says, blue is blue and red is red. It just shifts. Yeah? And then it plays itself out like it's always been playing itself out. Except the emphasis isn't on the story, the little subjective story that's been given the name of an object. You lose interest in it. Yeah? We said the other day, the body has a lot of functions, yes? I didn't one weekend piss for like the whole weekend and that's it. I never pissed again. I don't have all the food I ate last week on a to-do list. I gotta get home and digest that, yes? It sounds funny, doesn't it? But then again, we're sitting here believing we're the thinker of the system of thoughts. We believe we're doing that. Yet, it sounds absurd if you thought you were doing the digestion because, you'd be out somewhere and, sorry, I gotta get home. I got that burrito in there. So I gotta finish it before tomorrow because I got some pancakes coming. Yeah? It sounds funny, but it's the same. There's no difference in believing you're the thinker, is it? Really? It's just another system. And the thing is, just like all the other a lot of activities of the body-mind, it's going to keep doing it. It's like, it's thinking. Yes, that's what it's doing. Because first of all, if it's the support and the reinforcements of that idea of being you, it cannot not think. Because you would obviously be not appearing at all without those thoughts. Yeah? So for the appearance of self to continue, there's got to be a whole lot of selfing going on. If it takes a break, then that's what continues when all that selfing takes a break? I would say that's what we are. That no-thingness, that awareness. Yeah? And that doesn't need any thought to bolster it. It doesn't need any thought to validate it. It doesn't need a story because it's so. Yeah? It doesn't have to go through the constant seeking disapproval or approval to get some kind of reflection that there's a someone there because it's so. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Being is whole, complete. It's not in the act of becoming. It's being. It's already complete and whole. It's fulfilled. Its nature is not unfulfillment. It's fulfilled. It's not, if it's doing anything here in manifestation, it's to express. It's not to get. It's not to finally arrive. It's not to complete itself because it's already so. It's complete. So then mind is on that. It's centered. Yes? That means its center is everywhere at any time it finds itself. It's there. Yeah? Anywhere at any time, it's always available with no requirement necessary. Now, self-centered is a different story. You're now fixed as a body, with name and form in a certain location, and then your desire to become centered is now something you have to achieve. You have to work towards. You have to practice. And so the idea from here in self-centeredness is that you're out of the moment, so you have to really practice to get into the moment. Or like someone said, you practice mindfulness, but who's the hell's telling you how you're doing with the mindful practice? The conditional mind. It's like the blind leading the blind. Yeah. But in centeredness, the mind can rest because what it's resting on is completed. Yes. It's not completed. It had no beginning to end completed. Yes. It's just so. It's just always available at all times. And the mind responds in kind. When it rests there, it enjoys peace of mind. The mind loses its agitation, yes? The seeking, the driving, the looking for chills out. So you find yourself in a lot of ways in the manifestation. You say you're really here today because you're not thinking of yesterday or tomorrow. There's no interest anymore. This is all there is, yeah? These things aren't any magic. They're not produced by you. They're reflections of a state that's become obvious. Now it's just reflecting the ridiculousness of yesterday and tomorrow. It's reflecting that. How is it reflecting it? By being able to rest here. Yeah? The you cannot rest here because it's made up of there and then. What the fuck else is the you? It's all memory, which is there and then it's projecting into a there that memory is going to be like. Yeah, it's like, how are you going to get that to be here? It's here, it's not here, it's a mental here. It's a there and then. It cannot find rest. The whole point is you cannot possibly be out of the moment. That's what dawns on you. It's so fucking obvious. I've never been out of any moment that I have ever seemed to have been in. You know, if you look at the tapes, there I was. But I wasn't really there. I was thinking about, Australia. Yeah, but I saw you on the surveillance camera. You're there, in a sense, in a way, yeah? This whole idea of trying to get into something you can't be out of is unbelievable. Don't you see what it does? It produces a seeming scenario where there's incessant seeking. Yeah? Because the mind, it will look like you're in the moment, and then it will go, oh, no, you're out of the moment. And because that belief of being out of the moment is there, you can never rest to when you're in the moment, but it could be a turbocharged moment. It could even be a better moment than this moment. There's no rest, yeah? It can't arrive and chill out. Every time it arrives, that mythical there becomes a here that it shoots away from to get to the mythical there. In spirituality and everything, making money, everything, going out with people, everything. It's always moving. Generating the seeking, generating more seeking, generating more seeking. How is that going to bring you to that point of rest? How could anxiety produce peace? So if selfing as a desire to become, which that's all I think it is really, it's a desiring to become what it can't become. So it has a belief that you are something that's no good, so now you're trying to become something else. And then when you get there, it's, you want to become a better of that, and on. And it just keeps going. Seeking.